I love football. Every year I eagerly await the fall season, not just for the cooler weather or the change in the color of the leaves on the trees, but because it also means the start of football season as well. Anticipation builds inside me at the thought of watching my team take the field again. These are the feelings of one devout professional football fan that he shares with every other fan of the National Football League. Professional football has dominated all other pro sports in America, and the NFL has become a huge part of our American society. Have you ever wondered where football came from and why it has taken over America? In the early 1800s, students at universities such as Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Rutgers, and Dartmouth were all playing football-like games that had been derived from rugby. The rules were simple, with large numbers of players trying to advance the ball into a goal area, usually by any means possible. By 1855, the game had evolved into football with a kicking and running game. Since there weren't that many rules, the game was very dangerous and caused a lot of injuries and in some cases even death. To make the game safer, the Intercollegiate Football Association, or the IFA, was formed. A.M. Kelly describes Walter Camp, a member of the IFA, as actually being the man responsible for shaping American football into what we know it as today. He reduced the number of players to 11. He introduced the line of scrimmage and the snap from the center to the quarterback. He also proposed that the teams be required to move the ball at least 5 yards within 3 downs. Changes such as the reduction in the field size or scoring rules, game time, and the use of referees were all introduced later. The forward pass, one of the most important changes in the game, didn't become legal until 1906. The rules and regulations of American football were established in the era of President Theodore Roosevelt, but are still being revised today over a century later in order to make the game safer while making it more exciting. During the 1910s, American football became an increasingly popular sport. Professional teams arose. Private businesses or individual communities were usually sponsored the teams, and the teams became a great source of pride for the businesses in the towns. The National Professional Football Association, or the NPFA, was formed in 1920, and its formation was America's first attempt at unifying all of the various professional football teams in the one solitary league. The NPFA was founded in Canton, Ohio, and its first president was Jim Thorpe, an extraordinary player and coach. The NPFA became known as the National Football League in 1922 when it officially changed the name. Throughout the 1920s, professional football was not that popular but slowly increased in popularity. In 1934, all of the teams except for one, were moving from their small towns to larger cities. After the move, the rise of professional football was so fast that by the mid-60s, it had surpassed baseball as America's favorite spectator sport. In 1960, the NFL's rival league, the AFL, was formed. In 1966, the two leagues, the NFL and AFL, decided to merge as of the 1970 season. The 10 AFL teams joined with 3 of the NFL teams and created the AFC, or the American Football Conference. The remaining 13 NFL teams became known as the National Football Conference, or the NFC. The National Football League has solidified its dominance as America's favorite spectator sport since the merger in 1966, and has grown with the addition of 6 more teams along with much, much more. The game of football was created by American college students. It was taken to the professional level by the businesses and communities of small towns all over the Midwest and the Upper East Coast, and is now a nationwide phenomenon that has taken over our American culture. The creation of football and the founding of the National Football League are both parts of our American history. Therefore, if we are to know our American history, we should know the history of the National Football League.